Okay, welcome everyone to the fourth session of marketing. I think we waited enough, so let's start the class. I hope everybody is going to join us. Mr. Barak, please go ahead. Are you going to say anything? Okay, thank you. So,
just I want to welcome everybody, and I hope you will hear my voice.
Yes, absolutely. We hear your voice.
So finally, I succeed to repair my voice problem. So I think I would will participate actively in this discussion, not only through the chat, but also live.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Barak. I hope everybody would fix their problems with their microphone, and we would have more class participation. That helps our class to be better, and we'll all enjoy it much more. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. So this is where we stopped the other session. We talked about cultures, policies, and structures of the corporations, and now we are going to talk about market opportunity analysis. Market opportunity analysis is basically it's a type of analysis that we use a lot in marketing. What it is basically, as the name explains, you always look into opportunities, marketing opportunities that are out there in the market, and you sort of analyze them and sort of array them and explain them in a way that the person you're presenting to or your company will have a better understanding what market's offering you. So first, these are the stuff that you need to keep in mind when you're doing a market opportunity analysis. So can the benefits involved in the opportunity be articulated convincingly to a defined target market? That's very important because basically the benefits we are talking shouldn't be very general. I mean, mostly they are very general. So like benefits that you get from marketing a certain product. Let's say you're coming up with a new sort of mouse, just if you will, and it has different feature to it. So you have to be able to target your market to a certain group of people. Or let's say you're coming up with a new product in your telecommunication company, like a cell phone device that helps you do some stuff that is extra feature to other cell phones. So that's something you want to market. So your target market should be distinguished from general kind of market. So you say, okay, this feature I'm offering, let's say, helps those people who have business practices get this chip extra to their cell phone so that they can page their, let's say, their employees. So that sort of connects them. So it attaches to their cell phone, and that sort of helps them to page their employees. So this is like the target market. So you want to make sure that you know your target market, and it's distinguishable from other markets. Then can the target market be located and reached with cost-effective media and trade channels? We talked a lot about how marketing is about basically reaching out to customers, is communicating, telling them that you are here. So you got to make sure that it's cost efficient, cost effective, means that you, with a certain reasonable amount of cost that you're incurring, you'll be able to reach out to them and offer them your products and services and help them understand that what products are you offering, and all those kind of things that make them aware that you're there. And then after awareness, there are all different levels of understanding of your product. So it should be cost efficient. You can't just spend all the money you have in your budget on your marketing plan and then go out of business. You have to have a reasonable amount of money that you can spend and then reach out to your customers. And does the company possess or have access to critical capabilities and resources needed to deliver the customer benefits. So do they have the capabilities and resources required to deliver the benefits? Because marketing is a lot about what you say, but you need to keep in mind that after all, end of the day, you have to deliver what you say to the customers. In the short run, people might buy what you say, and then volume is possible to include. Okay, sure. Let me fix that. Okay. So is it better now? Is my voice better now, Mr. Akmal? Okay, good. So, very good. So, what I was saying is, does the company have those capabilities? Because it's not just a matter of telling them. I mean, the marketing side and marketing stages, of course, you're trying to talk to customer, talk them into buying what you're telling them. But it's not necessarily the end of your relationship, because you can't just tell the customers whatever you want and then give them the product which is totally different from what you promoted to them. So that's very important, to make sure what you say and what you do are quite of the same quality. So any questions so far? Okay, so let's move on to the next slide then. So continuation of market opportunity analysis. Can the company deliver the benefits better than any actual or potential competitor? So basically, you need to be better. I mean, marketing is all about choices and differences that you're offering. So you got to make sure that you transfer and convey this message to customers that you are better than what there is already in the market. You got to be better than what exists already there. So you got to offer something better with a better quality, with something better, so that would interest them in buying what you're offering. So that's also important. Will the financial rate of return meet or exceed the company's required threshold for investment? So it's all about money. End of the day, you need to make sure your cost is already met. Let's say we call it the break-even point. That's very important. I mean, there are times, like especially in the beginning, that you would just incur costs and expenses and then wait for the revenue and profit to come later. But you can't do it you need to have a budget plan, and you got to make sure that after a certain point of time, you are already meeting your cost. Let's say if your capital or the money you have is a certain amount of money, let's say $2,000 is your cost. You got to make sure you meet that cost, $2,000, and on top of that you get some benefits. So you can't just go out there with outrageous, very aggressive marketing plans with huge costs, and that will just cost you more money. I mean, there are companies who do that, and they are established enough to do that. But for you, if you are going to start, you got to make sure that you are getting what you need from your marketing. It should be very, very task-oriented kind of marketing. Okay, if you have any questions, you can just write it down, raise your hand, just stop me any moment you like. Just feel free to come in and share your points, and that would be great if we could have some discussion in the class. I don't want to be the only one who talks in the class. So I would welcome every one of you to participate. And as I have mentioned before, it also helps your score as well, because it's very important. Okay, Mr. Barak, please go ahead. Have anything to say, Mr. Barak? We can't hear you. We were just able to hear you before. I don't know why we can't hear you now. How about Mr. Yukhan Muhammad? Please go ahead. Do you want to share anything with us?
Yeah, I would like to
now we can.
One thing that during the marketing, the most important thing is for each company or yep.
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Barr. Please go ahead. Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I would like to okay, just I would like to say that the most important thing in the business, especially for the marketing, is to have surplus in our doing business or providing services or providing equipment or products. So I think that the surplus is very important for each manager or for each businessman who are doing this. Am I right in this?
Absolutely, very true. It's definitely it's a must-have. So, I mean, marketing is a way for you to communicate, but for sure you got to make sure that you also benefit from that. That's true. You're right. So, I also see Mr. Khan Muhammad. Please go ahead. Do you want to share anything with us? I see your hand raised, Mr. Khan Muhammad. Do you have anything to share? I can't hear you. Maybe you can just write it down for us at the chat box, or I think your voice is not working. Okay. Mr. Qiyasi, do you want to share anything with us?
Yeah, okay. If you don't mind some more explanation regarding the second point, when the financial rate of return meet or exceed the company's required threshold for investment.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Basically, what we mean is, there is a threshold of investment. What we mean by that is there is a cushion for you. There is an amount of time and amount of money that you could spend according to the rate of return that you get. Let's say you are producing a product. You are producing, let's say, copy machines, okay, photocopy machines. So the cost of that machine, let's say, is $200. So you have to sell that product with a higher amount of money to get some profit out of it. So the amount of profit according to what you produce is the rate of return you get. Like what return do you get from your marketing? What we mean is, if you do a certain level of marketing, how much in return would you get? And according of that extra amount of money you get, how much would you be willing to spend on the marketing? So let's say if you would be able to sell that coffee machine for $250, which gives you $50 extra profit. And if I come to you and say, hey, if you do that marketing project, instead of $250, you would probably make like $10 extra. So that $10 extra will give you a threshold for you to invest in that marketing project. So according to the number of production that you have, you would be able to spend some certain amount of money on your marketing. So that's what we mean exactly by that. Did I? Okay, good. So let's go to the next slide. Mr. Bark, do you have any question? I see your hand raised. Do you have any question, Dr. Bark?
Okay, I can't hear you. So, okay, we will get back to you. You can just write down your question, and I will get back to your question. So let's go to the next slide. Goal formulation and MBOs. So we need to have some goals for our marketing, and MBOs is managed by objectives. So it's very important for your marketing plan to be MBO or managed by objectives. So it means that your goal should follow a certain objective. You can't just sit in there and then just wait for your project to work for you. You need to have some certain objectives. Okay. Okay. So then requirements for using MBOs. For managed by objectives, we need to units. Objectives must be hierarchical. So objectives should be hierarchical. You need to know what objectives are more important, what are less important, and you need to go for the most important first and then go to the next level. So they have to be prioritized. You can't just say, okay, let's just meet all the objectives together at the same time. That's impossible. You got to make sure you meet them according to their importance. Then it should be quantitative. You can't just say, okay, let's make some sales like as much as we can and that's it. You need to come up with numbers and exact numbers and how you're going to make them. So quantity is very important. We have the quality and quantity at the same time, but what is really important is for you to understand how quantity plays a role and how quantity helps you do what you're supposed to do. Then goals should be realistic. We need realistic goals. You can't just be so optimistic about your product and then just wait for your hope or dream come true. You need to be realistic in what quantity and what quality you will get. And then objectives must be consistent. You can't just say, okay, let's have this much objectives for this quarter, and the next quarter we just don't care, and then the quarter after we just care again. You have to have certain objectives, all consistent, and they relate to each other and they follow each other. So that way you would be able to follow up and grow as long as your marketing is helping you. So, and then I see a question here from Mr. Khan Mohammed that how would you be able to do marketing and make money and then don't change the price? That's really easy, because you know what happens is, let's say you are selling a certain product. Let's say you're selling a stapler, okay? So you're in a stapler business. Staplers that you're selling is like you're just a new brand and you're selling them for $2 each. So, but the number of customers you have are not many. You know, you have certain number of customers or certain number of sales you get according to just selling them to the retailer. As long as they put it on the shelves, some customers might see and buy it. So let's say your sales is, compared to your production, you have about 20% sales, okay? And the rest is just waiting on the shelf. So by that 20%, let's suppose you're already meeting your cost. So your break-even point is already met. So what marketing does as an extra cost, you're still selling them with the same price, but your marketing helps you to boost up your sales from 20% to, let's say, 40%. So that extra 20% that you make in sales help you to gain more money. And let's say you just spend about some amounts of money, which is about 5% of that 20% extra in sales. So that way you made money, and of course you spent, but you made money. Have only quantitative objectives. You will have the qualitative. Mr. Barak, you're right. It's not easy to have quantitative objectives all the time, especially when it comes to a lot of services industries. It's difficult to quantify and put it in numbers, but all you care nowadays is just numbers. Numbers are important, because if you can come up with a great marketing plan and it doesn't give you the numbers, then basically it's not working for you. You got to make sure you could come up with some quantity as well as quality. And then for MBOs, Ms. Azizov, by MBO we mean managed by objectives. Managed by objectives, as we talked about, is you have to manage your marketing plan by objectives. Objectives are your small, little, tangible, attainable goals that you go for. So you are always going for those objectives. Managed by objectives, yes, or management-based objectives, that's true, that's correct. Okay. Dr. Barak, do you still have any questions? Would you like to talk? Okay, I can't hear you. Oh, I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there are also some other kinds of management, not only by objectives, but for example by discussion. So what do you think that we just only should focus on management by objectives, or also we have some other kinds of the management that by discussion? For example, that it's we will have the opinions and input of our team members. So, what do you think about all these things?
Okay, very good. Good point. Basically, what we are talking about, as you can see, it's part of the market opportunity analysis. We have so many different types of management, but what we are talking about now is how in your marketing opportunity analysis you should be objective oriented. So we are not generally talking about the management or like how you do your marketing management, but when you are writing your when you're writing your market opportunity analysis, it should be managed by objectives. It means that you need to put it and make it into chunk sizes of small, attainable objectives, and that's how you present it as like your market opportunity. I wonder if I answered your question, Mr. Barak. Okay, very good.
Yeah, thank you very much. I got it.
Beautiful. Thank you. So, then we go to the Porter's, Michael Porter's generic strategies. These are very important. Understanding these three are very, very important. Basically, what Michael Porter says is that overall cost leadership is very important for your firm or your company. Means basically some companies are majorly focusing on cost leadership. So they want to be the leader in the lower cost and I mean, of course, same quality. They will give you a reasonable amount of quality, but what they care for is the cost. So basically, they focus on the cost, not necessarily anything else. So they would not differentiate themselves as the best for the product, but necessarily they're focusing on the lower cost. That's what China is doing for a lot of their products. They're just making the same, not exactly the same high quality product, but somewhat good or acceptable product, but with a cheaper price. So that's the overall cost leadership. Then differentiation is how you differentiate your product. So basically, these three are three factors for for companies to attain the competitive advantage by further, and you can use that in marketing as well. So differentiation is how you differentiate your products or services, and how you try to make sure you're different from others. So a good example, for example, would be Where2 Mobile that I mentioned. Is you know, they are just differentiating themselves into they're a branch of Nokia Mobile, but they are handmade mobiles or cell phones for a certain group of people that they're just you know, they're saying like these are handmade, very expensive mobiles. So those cell phones could cost you $75,000 just for a cell phone. So you see how they differentiate themselves. They are not just a functional cell phone. Or if you don't want to go that far, because that would go to the next step, which is the focus, the differentiation would be an iPhone compared to other phones. iPhones they do pretty much the same stuff that every other phone does, but they have certain uniqueness to them. And then the focus is when you're just targeting a very, very niche market. And as I said, Where2 is more towards focusing on a certain market. So focus in another sense would be, let's say, like in an airplane industry, like airline industry, let's say your business class or VIP class kind of flights, you will focus only the top business people who want to pay extra amount of money. So you're just focusing on that certain group. So that's how you differentiate. You know, so if you're a jet company that gives services or flights for certain CEOs, so you're just focusing on a certain type of group of niche market compared to the whole people or whole mass market who want to travel by airplane. So is there any questions so far? And that is pretty important to understand these three, because these are very, very important for you to understand where your product or services stands and how your company is gonna you know, provide services. So I see some questions. Mr. Qiyasi says, how focus applies here, please? You mean by here? Where do you mean? Focus, yes, you're focusing on a certain market. It's like your products or services. Basically, by these strategies, we are talking about your business strategies or marketing strategies. We're saying that your marketing or business strategy would be an overall cost leadership or differentiation or focus. So basically, you're targeting to be focused on a certain type of product or service that you provide, compared to other type of things. When you're overall cost leadership, you wouldn't be focused. You would be dealing with the cost. You're trying to cut your cost to the lowest possible that the customers would buy you or buy your products, because you're providing a cheaper product. But when you're dealing with focus, you don't care for the price. You might be charging much more than other competitors, but the only reason that your customers will buy your products is because you're focused on a certain type of thing. So let's say a good example would be also like Sony. You know, Sony, if you want to buy a TV nowadays, if you buy your TV from Sony, you would pay a much higher price, but it's because they're focused on technology and certain things. So some products that they offer, some TVs that they offer, they're more into differentiation. But some of their Sony TVs, which are like high def TV and some certain features, is only targeting a certain group of people. So that's like a focused version. No, Mr. Qiyasi, they're not all focused. Focus, we are not using the focus as a general term of focusing on something. Focus is the type of business. If you are a focused type of strategy person, or I mean the company, you are just pinpointing and using a certain niche market and certain type of feature on your product. But overall cost leadership it's not, I mean, the focus, I'm not using the focus as a term of just focusing on something, but the overall cost leadership is your strategy. You try to lower the cost. Then differentiation, you try to differentiate and say, we are different in these senses, that's why we are better. But the focus is you're just focusing on a niche market or just a certain type of products that you offer. Okay, Mr. Barak, do you have anything to share? I see your hand raised.
Yeah, of course, I have some things to share.
Please.
As you already mentioned, you gave us the example of China. I would like to add some things to your example. China is not only focusing on the low cost, but also they are focusing on differentiation, and also they have special focus. For example, they have the same production by the same future, but different quality. For example, shoes. They have the same type of shoes for Afghanistan, for Europe, and for America, but the quality is different. For Afghanistan, they have the cheapest one. For the, for example, for the Middle East, they have the price match higher, and also the quality is that can attract the middle class, for example. But and also they have some very high qualities that they are purchasing this or providing this kind of products and in the international market, for example, in Europe and also in America. So at the same time, they are considering overall cost leadership, differentiation, and also the focus on some special qualities that they are not going for any negotiation in terms of quality.
Yep, that's a good point. Basically, you're absolutely right. Companies nowadays, they don't. There was a time that they would just pick one of these, so they would just go for cost leadership, differentiation, or focus. So basically, nowadays we're dealing with companies that are doing a mixture of all of these together. But still, yet you would see one of them being the majority of their strategy. So that would be like the leading strategy. So even though they have different qualities and like focus also, but the main concept of their products would be cost leadership. So some of them might just mix them up and don't have any leading one. So it all depends on the industry and type of product that you're talking about. So like let's say in computer industry, we have HP, Compaq, all these different type of brands. So they all fall into the middle range quality products. Then we have Apple, then we have Sony type of computers. Then down at the bottom we have Acer and some other products that are like probably the least quality. So all of these brands, they have some of differentiation, focus, and cost leadership. But for sure, we would say Acer would not be a focus or differentiation product. It's like overall, they are going for the cost leadership because they are like providing the cheapest computer. So you wouldn't expect an Acer company to be competing against an Apple Macintosh, So that's right. They use a mixture, but they would have a general overall leading concept over there. Very good point. So let's go to the next slide. So marketing alliances. We have some marketing alliances, like all these marketing ideas, you need to have alliances for your product or service. So you could have product or service alliances, promotional alliances, logistic alliances, pricing collaborations. So all of these are different strategies for you to use in order to be able to, you know, to utilize others companies or other service providers, you know, strong points. So like a promotional, or let's just start with the product and or service alliance. One company licenses another to produce its product. So it's just a product or service alliance. Or one company licenses another company to do their service. Then promotional alliance is one company agrees to carry a promotion for another company. You see that happening a lot for a lot of alliance means working together, kind of a cooperation, sort of. They come together and do something together. So there could be two competitors, but for that certain product, they might decide to do a promotional alliance. That happens a lot with some of the telephone companies or communication companies. For a certain service they provide, they might need to promote that type of product together. Then logistic and alliances, they offer logistics services for another company or product. So, you know, like their warehouse or some certain type of, like, let's say, you know, certain companies, they might take care of the insurance for another one. Yeah, LG is a very good example for that. Yes, LG is a good example of doing the promotional alliance and also logistic alliances. Basically, the whole idea of LG, they are made of Lodestar and Goldestar, two different companies. They use those core values of each of them, and they created a new one. So basically, the whole company LG has been created out of two different companies. So pricing collaborations. Sometimes you make collaborations on pricing. They join together for special pricing. So hotels and rentals or car companies, they can work together. You come up with a, you know, certain price. And then by logistic, we mean transportation. Means logistic is basically how you bring in product and then ship it out. So logistic is always about how you bring in all the inventories and materials into your company and take it out to the end customer. So that's all called logistics, and that's one of the major factors of your strategies or value chain. So you need logistics to bring in your materials and then send them as end products. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So marketing plan contents. This is very important. I mean, this checklist is something you could use for your project, your marketing plan. We have executive summary, table of contents, situation analysis, marketing strategy, financial projections, and implementation controls. So make sure you would have all these and cover all these in your project, your group project that you have. So this chapter would help you a lot to know exactly what it is. Evaluating a marketing plan, then you need to understand if your plan is a simple plan. Is it a specific? Is it a realistic? Is it a complete plan? So all these are important when you're writing your marketing plan. You make sure you have a simple, specific, means it's dealing with a specific type of market, and then you have a complete plan. So that is also important. And so now it's I just open for any questions and answers. Anybody has any questions, please go ahead. You can write it down in the chat box, or you can just raise your hand. I see Dr. Barak's hand is raised already. Would you like to share something?
No, thank you. I don't know the. I saw that here is my hand is raising, but at this time I don't have anything to.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Here to our classmates.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay. So anybody else has any questions? This is the end of this chapter 2. So if there's no questions, we move on to criteria for this evaluation. Basically, the criteria sometimes you need to benchmark with other marketing plans, other competitors. Basically, the criteria you make it yourself, and it's how you measure that. So basically, the simplicity of the plan. Of course, when you're talking about a big company's marketing plan, you wouldn't expect a very simple marketing plan, but simple in a sense that it's to the point. It's doable, and then specific means that it gives you exact guidelines how you want to do that, and then realistic in the sense that it's not over optimistic. It has a certain level of reality into it, and it's doable. It's not just something impossible according to your budget. Let's say if you have $2,000 and you're going to market your product to the whole world. I mean, that might be, according to your type of industry, it might be unrealistic. You might have to spend much more. But if you're just using that budget to do it like a regional marketing plan, that might be a realistic plan. And then it should be complete. It means that it has to cover all those factors that we said in a marketing plan. All these should be covered, and it should be from A to Z. It means that your marketing plan comes from A to Z and it covers everything. So, and then I see another question here. Overall, okay, Mr. Sharaf is asking about overall cost leadership. Yes, overall cost leadership is what we say when basically it's like one of the strategies of the companies. They decide to just give you the lowest price. It means their own concern, their major concern is to give you a better price. They won't say we are better quality. They won't say we are targeting this type of market or this certain group of people. They say we'll give you a better price, So that's the overall cost leadership. So altogether, what they say you're better because they'll give you a cheaper price. And the quality, of course, is quite acceptable, but it's not the best. They don't promote themselves for quality. They promote themselves for the cost. But differentiation, they do promote their quality. They say we don't care about the cost, and our customers don't, because they want a high quality product. And the focus is somewhat of differentiation, but they're only focusing a very niche market, very type of different, very, very exclusive type of market. What I mentioned was, an example was a jet company. Like they just give flights to certain rich people. They fly them from A to B. So not many people could afford to have a private jet. So that certain type of company, that flight company, would be a focus group. They are just focusing on those type of people that could pay for the private jets. So let's go to the next chapter and see what's going on there. Now, Emirates is mostly, basically Emirates, even though they became one of the best airline industries, they are more into cost leadership. Emirates is known for their lowest price, so they are not known for focus or differentiation, but mostly for giving you the best price. So those customers who go for Emirates mostly go for the best price kind of concept. Okay. But if you want an airline industry that is focusing on the quality or focus, I would say there are certain flight companies, let's say Singapore Airline or Lufthansa. Lufthansa is more into differentiation. So they don't care that much about the price. They are mostly pricier, but they give you better quality. And a company that is a good blend of all these would be Cathay Pacific. Cathay Pacific is, they say we give you focus, we give you differentiation and cost leadership. Yeah, or Royal, very good. You're welcome. Okay, so this chapter, we are going to talk about the components of modern marketing information system. So NIS, management information system, or I mean, it has different categories to it. One of the categories of MIS is marketing information system. So what sort of data we are talking about? What are the components of MIS? And what are useful internal records, and what is involved in a marketing intelligence system? So it's more of a database or, you know, information system kind of a thing for marketing. So the key methods for tracking and identifying opportunities in the macro environment, what are some important macro environment developments? So then again, we talk more of methods of tracking these opportunities and, you know, see how they work. Okay, MIS, probes for information. So MIS, marketing information system, looks and searches and probes for information. What decisions do you regularly make, you know? So basically when we are trying to do, to gather information, we look for the decisions made by the customers. What information do you need to make these decisions? What are the decisions that are, what are the informations are necessary to make that decision happen? What information do you really get? And then what special studies do you periodically request, and what information would you want that you are now getting now? So what are the four most helpful improvements that could be made in the present marketing information system? So basically what's going on here, we are sort of brainstorming. These are the questions you ask you when you're looking for some information. When you're looking for information, the marketing information, the first question you ask is, what decisions are regularly made on that certain type of product, right? So what information do you need to make to these decisions? Let's say I'm a customer, I'm going to buy a certain product. Let's say I want to buy a toothbrush. So when I go to the store, what are the decisions, what are the information I need to make sure I buy that product? I need to know if it's a soft toothpaste or hard, if it's like, you know, it's good for like massaging the gum or not. You know, all this information, when you write it down on the toothbrush, that helps me to decide whether I am going to buy your toothbrush or somebody else's toothbrush. Then what are the regular information out there? You know, sometimes there are just regular information. You go out of your way and you give some more information that helps you to sell your product. What special studies do you periodically request? What sort of requests do you get for those information? And, you know, what extra thing are you looking for? You know, because when you're marketing, basically you're trying to get something other than what you're getting right now. If your sales is at 10% and you do marketing and your sales is still at 10%, you might want to consider changing your marketing strategies because your marketing is supposed to boost up your sales, or sometimes at least keep it at the same rate. So if it's like 10% and goes 9% after your marketing, you got to definitely reconsider your marketing strategy. So you got to know what you're looking for, what you want to get out of that marketing. So the information that you're looking for. What are the four most helpful improvements that could be made in present marketing information? So just, you know, it's just to be objective oriented. You know, like 4 objectives. What are you looking for? Like at least 2, 3, 4 real objectives that you're looking for. So if you just have one or you can't think of any objective, you got to reconsider that marketing strategy and marketing plan, the whole thing, because there should be some good reasons, some good objectives you should be following so that you can just look for. You can't just say, okay, let's do this marketing strategy, and if I ask you why or what are your objectives, if you can't come up with at least 3 or 4, I mean, that probably needs some reconsideration. And then internal records, order to payment cycle. Order to payment cycle would mean that from the time you get the order from the customer, to the time that you get it to the customer and they pay. So from the zero, from the scratch to the time that it gives you the money. Yeah, I did already change the slide. We are on internal record now. So then sales information system, we are on like what sort of information system you need for your sales, what kind of information are you looking for, database, warehousing, data mining, all of these are some records companies keep for their marketing. And marketing intelligence system is basically what we mean is an overall database or genuine intelligence system that they have for their marketing. Okay, so then we go to the next slide. I will stop after a few slides, and then ask you to ask me any questions if you have any. Then steps to improve marketing intelligence. So what are the steps that you need to take to improve your marketing intelligence? Basically, you need to train and motivate your sales force. Training is very important in marketing. You need to make sure that your staff, those who are involved in charge of marketing, they get the required training to be able to do the sales, and they should be motivated enough to go out of their way to do the sales, because sales mostly it takes a lot of effort and there will be a lot of rejection, so they should be able to go about and change the rejection concept and make people change their mind. So that is very important. Then utilize customer advisory panel. So you need to use a customer advisory panel. It means that's a panel that you use it to use their feedback and then use it in order to change and make changes happen. So that sort of panel is like very actively and proactively changing according to the customer's preferences. Then network externally. You need to network and connect with people externally and make sure they know where you are, what you are. So it's not just this internal connection. You need to have external connection to the other marketing intelligences. Then utilize customer, I missed that, utilize government data resources. Sometimes government has a very good resources that you could use, so you could just access. Sometimes you have to buy, sometimes they're free. You can just use the government. Mostly governments, they give or they publish the business books or the sort of balance sheet and the information of the corporations, and they have to be out there. So you just go and study them. So you can utilize those resources, and you have to utilize those resources. Then you need to purchase some information. Some of the information is the result of a lot of research, and most of the research is very expensive. So you have to pay for that research. And then collect customer feedback online. And sometimes you have to collect those feedbacks online. So you just do surveys online. They get back to you, and so a lot of online surveys are going on, and a lot of them are helping the companies. So I just pause here. Let's see if you have any questions so far. Anybody has any questions, any part that you didn't understand you want me to go through again? Nobody, everybody's clear. Okay, beautiful. So let's go to the next slide then. Okay, this is very important, needs and trends. You talked about needs and wants and all those, but here we have three major different things here that I want you to understand. Basically, fad is an unpredictable, short-lived, and without social, economic, and political significance kind of thing. It's just something that happens, like let's say certain products suddenly get some attention, people start to buy, and it's just by chance, it's just by accident, right? So that's called a fad, and it just dies very fast. It's like very short-lived. It's not a long-lasting kind of thing. It's just happens for a while, and if you're lucky, you get that. I mean, let's say your product just gets a certain attention, people just go and buy, and you make a lot of good sales. Then there is a trend. Trend is more of a, it's like what happens mostly. It's a directional sequence of events that has a momentum. It has a durability. You know, it lasts for some time, and provides many opportunities. It's more predictable and durable than fad. So some fads, mostly they end in each other. First, it starts with a fad. People just start buying by accident, and then it becomes trendy. You know, like let's say certain smartphones. They started as a fad, like just accidentally there was this type of phone, and some people bought it, but then they became trendy. Now everybody is like, okay, let's do it, and you know, it's like becoming much trendier. Like Facebook is becoming much trendier. When they started, it was just a fad. It was just, you know, just caught on, and then it becomes trendier. Like now it's trendier, and later on it will become megatrend. Megatrend is a large social, economic, political, and technological change. It's a slow to form, but when it's in place, it will last for a very long time. So, like ebooks, you know, electronic books are getting there. You know, they are becoming mega trends now. They started as a fad, a trend, and now they're going towards a mega trend. They are replacing the old system for books. So, you know, so I mean, any product that you could imagine, you could probably see the steps when they were a fad, then they became a trend, and then they became mega trend. So mostly, I would say mega trend is for a product that has been there for at least some good few years. And a trend is something trendy, something that is happening around, like Facebook is a good example. But yeah, fad is just a product, like let's say this Barbie, they came up with a tattoo girl, which is just a girl with tattoo and stuff like that. It's a doll. So that will be a fad. But a trend is something like longer, like something that has been there, like there's certain type of their Barbies that have been there for quite some time, so they're trendy. And then mega trend are probably the classic type of dolls that are like those blonde type of girls that like those dolls. So those are like mega trends. I mean, that's just for a doll company like Barbie. But you can imagine for any company. For any company, you can think of it. For your own industry, you could probably think of a lot of examples. Any thoughts here? Any questions? Any comments? Okay. Okay, no problem. Is fad a war or? Yeah, it's a word. It means something. It's like a term. It's a jargon. It's a business jargon. It's a marketing jargon, and it's also a term. It's a word. It means, as I mentioned, it's an unpredictable, short-lived, and without social, economic, and political significance. It's a term. So basically, it's a term. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. So these are some good examples of mega trends. You know, aging boomers. You know, baby boomers. They are basically grouping people according to the year they were born. So after World War II, people who were born, that generation, they call it baby boomers. So now they are getting old. So that's a mega trend because all that generation has already aged and they are at a certain level of age now, or delayed retirement. Now it's a mega trend. Now most of the countries or companies are trying to delay the retirement. They want you to work longer instead of, let's say, there was a time that retirement age was 50 or 40. Now they're pushing it towards 65 or 70. You see, so these are mega trends. It's like happening everywhere. Changing nature of work. The nature of work is changing. It's a mega trend. It's like totally different from what it was before. Then greater educational attainment. It's like everybody needs more education. Everybody is looking forward and getting education. People are attending online classes or different type of classes. They're trying to make sure they get their education. So it's not a fad or a trend anymore. It's a huge. It's much bigger than that, and it has been in there for a long time. Or labor shortages, you know. And I mean, for now is like basically job shortages. They're like lack of jobs, you know, those kind of things. Increased immigration. Immigration is like something very common. People are migrating to different places and has been in place for quite some time. And it's not a trend anymore. It's much longer and much, you know, it's like it has a social, economic, political, and technological part to it. So it's much bigger than that. And then we have rising Hispanic influence. So like this one is probably more of an American example, because like in the States there are major Hispanic people from Mexico or those Latin Americans who came to America. So that's like they're rising, and it's like a big number of them. But like for different regions of the world, probably different examples. Shifting birth trends. So now let's say families are moving from having so many kids to 1 or 2 kids. So those are also some of the mega trends now. They are not just trendy anymore. Then widening geographic differences, all the differences that they're just widening them, and they're opening it up and changing age structure. So age structure being like people or companies, they would have different type of age structure. There was a time that the companies would have only one type of age, one type of group of people with a certain age. Now they're just opening up with different type of ages. So those are some of good examples of mega trends for consumer landscape, and knowing them basically helps you a lot regarding your marketing. And those are all part of your marketing information system. These are the information you gather, you keep in your marketing database in order for you to refer, and according to your product or services you're launching, you use any of these information that is relevant to your marketing plan. Any questions so far? Does anybody hear me? Everybody's here? Okay. So, beautiful. So, do you have any questions so far? Everybody's following? Anything you need to you know, basically the explanation is the closest synonym for them. It's just the explanation. You can refer to your book and study more about it as well. So analyzing the macro environment, the Cutler book, needs and trends, it totally explains it, how we mean by them. But basically these are terms, like business terms that we need to understand. Like fad, trend, and mega trend are basically, as I mentioned, fad is an unpredictable, short-lived, and without social, economic, and political significance, you know, kind of movement. And then by trend, we mean, you know, something that has a momentum and durability, and basically it's more predictable and shapes the future and provides many opportunities. And then mega trend is when it's becoming much bigger and long-lasting, and then it influences some time. It's from 7 to 10 years. So it's like few good years. But trend is something like a couple years or a year or something, and a fad is just something just catching on. Rising Hispanic influence. Yeah, as I mentioned, rising Hispanic influence is something American. Is like Hispanic are those Spanish American, like from Latin America, who migrated to America. So by that we mean that it's catching on in the United States a lot, and it's like it's been some good years that they have been, you know, migrating, and then a lot of changes are happening. So that's what we mean by that. Okay. Sure, no problem. Let's go to the next slide. So environmental forces. We have talked about it in some part of it most of it in our business strategy class. We talked about demographic, economic, socio-cultural, natural. Maybe we didn't talk that much. Natural is like nature. I mean, the mother nature is out there and making changes like tsunamis or whatever stuff that happens around us is like sort of changes the whole environment, and it's a force, you know, like the weather, like if it's summer, if it's winter, these are like different seasons, and that definitely influences your marketing plan and your product. So a lot of products are seasonal, you know, like certain like winter clothes is only for winter, so it could be very, very important what season we are selling your product. If you're selling a winter product in summer, you probably will give a lot of promotion because people wouldn't buy the stuff in summer because it's not cold. But there are not many of them who would buy them and keep them until winter unless you have some promotional plan. So you see how they will, you know, be important. And then political, legal, all these we covered in business strategy class. The population and demographics, like some more of like details, like the size, the growth rate, what is the growth, age distribution, from what age to what age, ethnic mix means from what races. Well, there are some countries that is like so many different races living there, like here in the United States or in Europe, or certain countries they have different races living there. So those will influence the marketing plan. Educational levels, you know, the higher the education, the preferences would be different. So basically, education would have a very great impact on the preferences of your customers. So if they're more educated, they have like different type of preferences, and you need to be more of like trying to make them aware of what the benefits are for your product and to become more into eco-friendly kind of concept. So all these are very important. And the household patterns, like how many people to a house, like the households are like 2, 4, 6, 10, how many people living in a house, all those kind of things. Regional characteristics, like what are the characteristics of a certain region that you're doing your marketing, and then movement, like what type of movement are, like how much do they travel, how much do they go from here to there. All these are you know, demographic and population factors you need to consider. Then economic environment, we talked about it, purchasing power, income distribution. We didn't talk about income distribution that much. Income distribution, as you know, is how income is distributed in the market that you're dealing with. You know, do you have very rich people and then very poor people, or like you have a lot of middle class? You know, how the income for your market is distributed, and that helps you to target the market. If there is a huge gap between the rich class and the middle class and the lower class, then you probably need to come up with 3 different types of products for every single one of them, because you can't just give the same price to all these and same quality, because let's say if there is a very poor class, they wouldn't be able to buy your product if you're just giving them at the regular price. So you have to come up with a very cheap price. What happens here in the United States is like we have shops or companies giving you like very cheap product. Like we have a shop is like 99 cents a store. So everything in that store is 99 cents. So you can buy like tools, you can buy food, everything you buy is 99 cents. And that's targeting the lower, income class. And then we have shops that are very expensive. So it's like you're targeting the segment and the market according to the income. So saving rate, how much savings do they have? Like different savings, how much debt they can tolerate. Like in the United States, debt is pretty high, and people will buy on credit a lot. Some places might not. So credit availability, some places credit is not available. They just take cash, or there's no credit card accepted. So all these factors are stuff you keep in your marketing information system and your database, and those are the stuff that help you decide what direction are you going for your marketing. So As you can see, they're pretty important, and they can help you decide on where exactly to go. Is there any questions so far? Anybody wants to share anything? Just want to make sure everybody's following me. Any thoughts so far? I don't want to be going so fast and then confuse you. Please just stop me whenever you have a question. Share your comments, and you know, want to make sure that everybody understands. Beautiful. Okay, let's go. Then types of industrial structures, industrial economies, and industrializing economies, raw material exporting economies, subsistence economies. So by these we mean different type of economies. So industrial economies, we are basically talking about advanced world where they are already advanced and they are like pretty much advanced, and they have their whatever it takes to do all those different levels of marketing. And then industrializing economies, we are talking about you know, booming industries like China, Brazil, you know, Russia, all those countries or regions that are booming and becoming industrialized. Raw material exporting economies are those that are just they sell the raw material. They are not advanced enough to do any kind of changes on the products, and then they you know, they will just send it to advanced or industrializing economies, and they will sell it for them. And then subsistence economies are like China, and very few opportunities in markets. It's like even lower than you know, the raw material economies. They don't have even those raw material. They're just they're very poor economies, and they don't have much to offer. So they're very low number or level of opportunities. So this chapter is linked to the strategy and marketing are pretty much related. And and then Japan would be a good example of industrial economy. Okay, any questions so far? Raw material exporting economy. Raw material exporting economy is, as I said, they will send oil or whatever they have, like Saudi Arabia, like, you know, all those Southern Middle Eastern countries. They are just sending the material, the raw good, not processed, and then send it. So they export exactly the material, send it to the advanced economies, they change it, and then sell it. So what they say, they just sell the raw resource they have. You're welcome. Okay. Then, did I cover this one? Yeah, I did. Okay, social cultural environment. So basically, this we covered somewhat in the strategy. It's a different. This is the marketing aspect of it. We are the views of themselves. So what the cultures and societies view of themselves. What do they view of others? View of organizations and societies and natures and universe. So the understanding that the society and culture has of all these is also important. You know, when you go to different cultures, they have different understanding of themselves. Like different cultures, they think of others differently, and their perception is important when you're doing marketing, because you need to understand when you're marketing, you need to target all these understandings and perceptions in order to make your product a success story. You need to make sure that the society and nature and you know, the culture will accept your idea. If, let's say, your culture is a very family-oriented, group-based culture, and you're promoting a very individual-oriented product, probably you won't sell that much. You know, or if, let's say, your culture or society is not that much IT or computer savvy, and you're promoting or depending so much on computer for your own product or service. Let's say you're selling a product or service to some city that people don't use that much of a computer, and what you're offering, let's say, it's online banking, and that's so much related to internet and computer. Probably that's not a good idea. So you need to understand where you're talking about and what kind of people and perception you're dealing with. So that's also very important. So views of nature, like let's say if your company is an eco-friendly and nobody cares about environment in that society, so it doesn't make any difference. People won't buy the idea of paying extra just to help Mother Nature, you know. So then you will lose. I mean, of course, it's a good and noble purpose to educate people about saving the Mother Nature and the world and everything. But I mean, what I'm saying is, you would lose money if you are promoting an eco-friendly organic product to a society or a culture that they don't really value nature. So those are very important aspects that you need to consider when you're doing marketing, and those are the information you gather in your marketing information system to make marketing decisions. Okay, any questions so far? I think I answered that question, Mr. Mark. Like the nature is like the eco-friendly kind of thing, and how the society or culture responds to that. Example of universe. Universe is like their idea of universe, their idea of the whole planet, their idea of other countries. Let's say if you're promoting a product or service to a culture or country that doesn't like that type of product, probably that would not be a good idea. You know, it's like the relationship. How would they respond? That culture or society, how would they respond to your product that you're promoting it from somewhere else? You know, so certain products are rejected because just they're coming from overseas. Some cultures they like just their own product. I mean, everybody needs the products from everywhere. Now, pretty much the whole universe is using Chinese products all around. Everything is Chinese, made in China. But what I'm saying is certain regions of the world might not like, imported items. They would rather like homemade kind of thing or local things. So that's their view of universe, how they would see the dealings of international, commerce. So that is also something you would consider when you're doing business, probably. Okay. So 13. Let's finish the next two. Natural, as I said, like shortage of raw materials, increased energy costs, anti-pollution pressures, government protections. So then again, some more aspects to natural environment is like shortage of raw materials. Sometimes you have shortage of certain, like a lot of the stuff are going out and running out. We're running out of oil and a lot of resources, so people need to think of other energies or sources of energy. So, and then that would increase the cost of the energies, and then, as I mentioned, anti-pollution pressures, and also government come into play, and they basically set a lot of rules and regulations to make sure that the companies and organizations don't make any pollution. So all these are natural environment pressures or information that you need in order to do a good marketing plan. So all of these are important. And then technological environment. So pace of change, how fast the technology is changing, opportunities for innovation and varying R&D budgets and increased regulations or change. So all these are also important. Like technology, as it changes, it also changes the regulations, because a lot of the stuff that used to be paper-based now is like technological-based, and a lot of R&D budgets would change because technology helps you save some money, and of course you need to incur some costs to train and get those technological advances. So all these are important factors that you need to know when you're doing a marketing plan. So, and most of them are very IT savvy, information technology kind of thing. So by that, it's like the end of this chapter. I just pause for a moment if there's any questions. I just want you to just tell me if you have any questions so far. Any part that you didn't understand, you want extra, explanation on that. Okay, I don't see any hands raised and any questions, so I just give you the task. R&D is research and development. We refer to that by R&D mostly. Okay, your task for this class would be, please name a fad, trend, and mega trend in your company or some other company. So just name a fad, a trend, and a mega trend. You could take the same product, tell me when it was a fad, when it became a trend, and when it was a mega trend, became a mega trend, or if it's not a mega trend yet, how it would become a mega trend. I would rather if it's from your own company, and if it's not, it's okay, it could be some other company. I want a specific answers, no general answers. I want example. So for tasks that I give you, I would definitely rather specific examples. Yes, Mr. Barak, please go ahead. Do you have any questions?
I would like to give my opinion on the task that you mentioned now.
Okay.
For that, I would like to say that nowadays the Eid is near, and some new, for example, some new kind of the sweets are coming to the market that was not available recently. So you're a little bit attractive, but after the purchasing and testing, it will be clear that they will come to the trend, that they will be used frequently, or just for one time the people will use it. And also we have some sweets that that for the long time the people are using it. For example, the Irani gas is very famous in Kabul market, that people are using it for many times. And also there are some traditional sweets that I think for the centuries people are using it. For example, jalebi, and also the kind of sweet that Afghans are knew about them, and that the families are using it for many years. So it might be an example of the fat trend and mega trend. These that the people are facing it practically.
Very good, very good. And just for the fad and trend, I also need a practical example, Mr. Barak, because you gave an example for mega trend. For the fad and trend, I need a specific example. So please, when you write your assignment or your task and send it to my email, please make sure that you have an example. So I want an exact, it's like exact name, and like if it's a company,
sure.
what product. Okay, thank you. And then some writers have argued that the UK is relatively poor long-term economic performance. Also, such as focus on the arts rather than science. And Mr. Zagun, I'm not sure if this point you're making, it's not about the task that I gave you, right? Writers have argued that there will be poor long-term economic performance due to the partial cultural factors. We're just sharing that regarding what we talked about in our marketing class, right? Yes, okay. Okay, sure, no problem. Yes, that's right, exactly. That could be a good point, yes. A lot of issues that is going on with the economy nowadays. Basically, it's not necessarily that it's poor market performance or economy performance. What you need to understand, I mean, you would have economics course, and if I would be your lecturer, we would definitely go into the factors influential in economy and what makes an economy booming and going down. That's another discussion. But you need to understand that economy has a cycle. So life cycle of economies, it goes up and down, and it's like it's been the same forever, and it's going to be the same. There are depressions to economies and booming cycle, then downturn economy, upturn economy. So it's not necessarily the performance, it's like the cycle of each economy. There are a lot of factors involved, demand, supply, a lot of things, macroeconomics and microeconomics, and they all hand in hand. So it's not necessarily that a certain economy has failed or not. They're just going through their cycle and they will renew. So each economic cycle will renew, and there will be life cycle to each economy. We will definitely explain that in the economics course, and so it's very much more complicated than that. Just it would not just be because of I mean, that would be probably one factor, but there are many more factors involved, and you know, it's not as simple as it may seem. Okay. So what I'd like you to do, please email me your tasks by end of next day. So that's your task for marketing class. And some of you who didn't attend the class, they would always be more than welcome to, you know, use the recorded version. And I expect the assignments from everyone. I haven't received the assignments for some of the you know, your classmates haven't sent me the previous task. The deadline is already over, so please make sure you send it before the deadline is over, which is by some examples. Sure. Sure. You want me to go slower? Sure, you can stop me whenever you think I'm going fast. You can just ask me questions whenever you think I'm fast. But I want to cover as much as we can because there's a lot to cover, and we want to talk about a lot of issues and a lot of concepts. So that's why I just don't want to, you know, miss some of the points. I want to explain them. But whenever you don't understand, whenever you have a question, raise your hand, write down, or speak out. We will stop and, you know, we will explain it to you and make sure you understand. If you didn't understand, you're more than welcome to email me all the time. I will answer you and, you know, try to make sure that you get the point and it's clarified for you. So don't worry about it. And so as I mentioned, please make sure you email me your your task, and your groups for your marketing would be exactly the same as your groups for business strategy. I will email the finalized groups by end of today, and you can start working on your projects. And also for your marketing class, it's basically 1 week extended. So both of your marketing and strategy class, they have 1 week extension of submission for the group projects, and individual projects. I'm receiving this message that you're asking for slides. I have sent you all the slides in a zipped file for marketing and business strategy a few weeks ago, and they included all these slides. So, but I will just resend it today to make sure you all have it. I send it to you. I'm not sure why you're still asking me, but I will be more than happy to send it to you again. And make sure you always go through the slides. You don't have to wait for me to go through the slides in the class. You could always read it in advance. When you come to class, you have a better understanding, and it's easier for you to understand. And you know, it's much better if you could read the slides before coming to the class. So I just thank you. If there's no other question, I just end the session. And we will see you next week in the class. Just have a beautiful week, and see you soon. Thank you so much, and take care. Good night to you all.